I don't have a clue what I'm doing on this car. Nobody has any information. I'm completely lost. I'll get it figured out. Day one on a new car. Took a few days off, did some upgrades to the shop. We'll go over those in another video. But today, this should be about a day to a day and a half job. This isn't an audio job. This is a convenience upgrade. We're gonna be doing a dash cam and a rear cam through the back window, as well as a backup battery system. I've done one of these already for this customer's husband in his Porsche, and now we're getting ready to put it in her car. And her car is going to be a little rough, and I'll show you why. This is a 2025 BMW X5, so brand new, and so new that this vehicle was actually already here a month ago to get this job done, but I couldn't do it because she had actually bought the wrong kit. She had bought the front dash cam and interior cam for like Uber drivers and stuff. So she wanted the back window cam. So I had it here, I was going to do the install, and then I couldn't because it was the wrong system. So she got the new system, got it in, and now it's back. But when it was here previously, I'd already went through the steps of trying to figure out, okay, where am I gonna get my power at? Where am I gonna get accessory? Because in new cars, there really is no accessory. Most of the time, everything's controlled by the CAN bus network. And as you can see, the inside of this car is a spaceship. So it's definitely everything controlled by computer. First thing I wanted to do was try to find a fuse box. Well, I couldn't find the fuse box. And on a new car like this, especially a BMW that has really high tolerances for their plastics and trim, you don't want to just go unsnapping things. Easiest thing to do, call the dealership. So I called the dealership. It was an hour and a half on the phone, and I went through 4 techs before we found out where the fuse box was. They don't have any information on this vehicle, which me and the tech were kind of laughing on the phone, but kind of not, because I was like, man, that's gonna make it a little rough for me. But we did find the fuse box. The over-engineering done by BMW on this vehicle is comical. But let me show you the rear hatch, which made me kind of giggle. So like any rear hatch, it's motorized, right? No big deal. But I was like, man, this is kind of weird. Why is this still here? Because it's also got this motorized little tailgate. That is so extra. I don't understand. I mean, it's cool that it's there because I mean, you could put something, I guess, in there and have this open and it wouldn't fall out. I don't know why you'd be driving with this open, but I really can't. I'm trying to come up with a feasible reason. I can't find one. But the extra part is making it motorized. I mean, the odds of that not breaking, I can't imagine. You get someone like me. I'm 5'9", 290 pounds, a pure man. I mean, this is basically a block of concrete with shoes on. That's what I am. You know how scared I am to put my knees on this thing and put my weight on it? I mean, I don't see it happening. I don't see it holding me, bro. So if you ever want to know, you pull that out, and right there's your fuse box in a giant empty cavity. So that is where I am going to try and put the battery backup system, as long as the wiring will support it, that's long enough. And I'll show you what I'm putting in. So we're doing the Blackview 4K. Right there's the model number. There's the front camera. There's the back window camera. And then there's the power cell, which is the black box my car, battery backup. So that is right there. So I'm gonna get started on this and I'll let you know how it goes here in a minute. After doing some looking, I'll give you some tips and tricks if you ever do a 2025 X5. To get the car to turn on and then you get out of the car, it's kind of a pain in the ass. So you'll turn on the start button and then you gotta put that in neutral. Once it's in neutral, it'll say on the screen, hey, make sure it can't roll away, because there is no parking brake. Because if you turn on the parking brake, that shuts the vehicle off because you did not drive. Very strange. But regardless, that's how you test with the vehicle on. Put it in neutral, chalk the tires if you're any chance the thing can roll. Then I was able to come back here and test the circuits, and I actually found an ignition. First off, this 12-volt plug, that's actually an accessory, that's on ignition. But up in here, if anybody ever needs to know, right there, that blue 15 amp fuse, that is on with ignition and off with ignition. So that's where I can grab. Down here is the perfect spot for me to put the battery back up. So it's going to be mounted right up against that black box, that module, and then my wiring can come up. And then right here, you see that hole? Oh my gosh, it's so funny. So, just like I was telling you guys, I was just leaning in there to show you that. Apparently my thigh hit that button and this thing started to close on me, which freaked me out because, not gonna lie, my penis was right there at the seam and this thing could have clamped me up. This motorized tailgate is so odd and it could have clipped my penis right off. And this would be a whole different kind of video. So there's probably a feature to disable the buttons. I don't know, but I'm gonna have to make sure I don't hit those now. Anyway, back to what I was showing you. I know this light's really bright, but my other flashlight's missing. Right there, you see that hole? See that circle? That's a threaded for some kind of bolt that's not there. That's what I'm using for ground. It's actually got a ground ring on it. So I'm gonna be putting that nut and bolt through. I could try to find a threaded bolt to go in there, but it's actually pretty large and I don't wanna waste my time. So I'm gonna slip that through, put the nut on, and that is where the ground is gonna go. And then this accessory will go up to the fuse using an add-a-fuse. If anybody's ever gonna do one of these, and they're gonna do what I'm doing, a dash cam and rear cam, go ahead and take your labor that you're gonna quote and triple it at least. To run the wire from here back to here, because you gotta have the back camera, to run all of this, that little distance, and then I have right here the wire, which is the power and ground going down to the battery backup thing. That wire took me about 6.5 hours, maybe 7 hours. It is ridiculous. So I have it running along the headliner, which in itself was kind of a pain in the ass because of the way the headliner drops down behind all the trim, and you don't want to pull the trim because you don't want to cause any kind of issues with the trim since it's brand new. Right there, that little gap where the window is, going across there was one of the hardest, but the hardest, getting the wire through that boot, then there, up to here. Now the reason being why that was so hard, that boot does not have access to the cab of the car. That is actually a cavity that's completely blocked off from the cabin. There is wiring coming in from the cabin going through another rubber boot about that big that comes into this cavity that comes into that boot. So you have to go into the cavity, puncture through the rubber grommet without damaging the factory wiring, which then that'll bring you out up here in the headliner, nowhere near here. So what I used was, this is a wire pull rod that I got off Amazon a while back. It used to have a nice little wire ring on it, but it popped right off because I think it's just cheap. But this is sturdy. It's got to be super sturdy, but I had to twist this. I had to do it like a chain. So I took a pair of pliers and I twisted it so I'd make it more rigid and more straight. I took string and I wrapped it in a bread tie. Then I took that, attached it to the end. When I pushed this through, I pushed it all the way to where this became loose. Then I used a magnet to attach onto the bread tie and pull this to me back here. So then I had this loop around going. Then I had to attach that camera lead to my little bread tie pull thingamabobber. I had to feed it back through. Then I ran the wire up through that boot And you would think, oh, there's a way to get to it. Now, you have to go over here where they have all this wiring, run another feed line, and there's an open little cavity right here. Run it down, catch it over here, and then pull it up. It's cold, it's late, and that sucked. That's where I'm putting the power cell back up. All right, so that's gonna be a wrap for day one on the BMW. It'll be done tomorrow morning. The only thing I have left to do, mount the camera on the front windshield, mount the camera on the back windshield, hook up 2 wires and plug in the box. So it's pretty much less than an hour's worth of work tomorrow. I'll be back on it in the morning. See you then.